Introducing Richard Huck Planas, 8th degree master of Kenpo Karate. As a true first-generation student of Ed Parker's, Huck trained at Master Parker's Pasadena School in the late 60s, and as a black belt, he managed and taught at the Pasadena School until 1975. Huck served for over 10 years as the executive vice president of the International Kenpo Karate Association until Master Parker's death. Huck Planas teaches not only the how-to, but the why, based on the rules and principles of the Kenpo system. As Master Parker said, he who knows how will be the student. He who knows why will be the instructor. Huck Planas is available for seminars internationally. For booking information and information on other RVF videos, call 1-800-356-VIDEO.
Okay, I'm Richard Planas, and we're continuing the series on the upper forms. We finished 4, the next one is 5. Now, go back and talk about 4 a little bit. We say, remember, that's the meat of the system. That's basically all of our kick and punch techniques that we use. Like Mr. Parker used to say, that's the meat of the system. 5 and 6 are what we call specialty forms. 5 is what we call the takedown form. And in there is all the different ways that we do take somebody down using all the different fulcrums. As everything, again, has a reverse and an opposite. Let me bring Rick out here and with his red stick and point this out a little bit. When we're working the fulcrums, sit that in on the floor there, Rick. We can take, like if we're going to sweep, I can sweep the bottom to the side in both directions, or I can sweep it to the front, or I can sweep it to the back. And then the top, and I'll hold it up, I can take the top to the side in either direction, or to the back, or to the front. And we do these in singles and in combinations. Combination would be like if I have my foot going against the way the hand is. This is a combination, or to show it with the hands, like I grab here and twist with both hands, gives me much more force than just trying to twist it with one hand. Like if he resists it, especially hold it with both hands, Rick, and they can resist and don't let me move this, he can do it fairly well. But if I put both hands on it, see, then I have my double fulcrum, I can move it easily. So all these different principles are in the form. Thank you. Okay. So again, 5 is our takedown form, working all these principles of the fulcrums. Then 6 will get into weapons and defense against weapons. So that's all we need to say about 5, so we'll get at it. Okay, let's get right into 5. And also, I forgot to mention about 5, we also call this the go from where you're at form, or the point of origin form. You'll see this when we do the salutation, like a surprise form, that we don't even finish the salutation before we have to move. So we have to go strictly from point of origin, from like a surprise attack. We say we're never covered, or we're never covering the man that attacks. Like there are no positions in here basically. When you get a few, but the basic form is like, if I'm ready, it's okay, come and get me, I'm ready for you. But the man from over here attaches, oh, this is the man that comes in. See, so we're not ready for the angle that we're covering, and I'll point this out more as we get into the form. So our first technique is destructive fans, and we're going to work from a horse. So I'll do the salutation and get us to our horse, and we'll show you how this comes in. So again, numbers now, we spread all 5 fingers to mean 5 against the background. We've talked about this before. So we go 5, the background closes 5, and then out into the salutation. And all the forms up to this point closed from here. But now we don't close. We get to the position. I'm going to move up and get right on my line. Now my heels, you notice my heels, if you can see this, my heels are on the line. You'll notice also that we've changed the tape pattern on the floor. Now what you have to imagine is those lines that we had before, the 8 angles like the patch, are still there. But I put down what we call our railroad track lines, or our parallel lines. We also call 5 the parallel line form. So instead of seeing a cross, what you imagine is the tic-tac-toe sign of 2 parallels in both directions, and we use those lines. So this is going to represent basically the railroad tracks. You'll see how that comes into play when we get into some of the techniques that move back and forth on the 6 to 12 line. Right now we're in our horse facing 12. The man from 9 o'clock is the one that comes in. So my heels are on the 9 and 3 line. What I'm going to do is just drop my left foot back and what we call stagger your horse. I'm in a horse, I just drop the foot back and stagger it to the line. So now my toe and heel are on line. In other words, if I took my feet and turned them 45 degrees, I'd be neutral to 9. But we don't hit that position. We just drop back and stagger the horse. Okay, now, the hand work, we're using the back hand first here from the getting ready to close position without the footwork, so you see the hands. I'm moving my left hand, my right hand in place. The right hand comes out and makes the circle to come back in. So I'm using my backhand now for this move. So I go backhand and then pick up with the front hand and come in with a hammer fist that stays in your center line. So what I'm going to do is step off and move, and again, this is like the technique we had in 4 when we were trying to do leap of death and we had to go into destructive kneel because the person was too close. Here we have that same type situation. He's really moved in tight on us, so when we hit, our center line is real close. It's normal, you see a lot of people turn in and hit out away. That's not the position of the technique. I'm going to bring Rick in here and have him attack me on this to see the line. Remember when we had the person come into our halfway through our stance, when we went into destructive kneel, this is the same thing. This guy is really hauling in deep on us. See, so when we're standing here and he comes in, as he's coming deep, I say, whoa, and whoo, the shot is in tight. See, he should even be closer. You should be in about right here where the shot is in my center line. See, the person is close to us. So if he short shots me, come out and short shot, where I'd have to turn and go to him, that's getting you out of position, and that's not the principle of the technique. The hammer fist should be right here in your center line. Like I'm basically getting out of his way. He'll be running over me when I move. So again, he comes in deep, so and this is where we're hitting. And then we're ready for our sweep line. See? The person has to be tight. Thank you, Rick. Okay. So we're just dropping back to the staggered horse, picking up with the rear hand, backhand, front hand, backhand. The hammer fist goes in, and we're grabbing that high arm. We have to check the arm. Don't grab high on the shoulder because that doesn't hinder the arm. We have to be between the elbow and the shoulder to prevent the arm from moving. So from the hammer fist, then I'm going to go in my sweep. And what I'm trying to do here is, from my staggered horse, is basically stay on the line. Again, the forms are done on this road map pattern. Application lines are a lot different. You'll notice that some techniques we do are entirely different angles than what we do in the form, because the form is laid out on a road map. Once you know how to do the technique, you can go anywhere with it and make it work, or should be able to, but the form stays on the road map. So I'm trying to stay now on my long 3-9 line. So I want to get back to this line. So when you're from my hammer fist, I'm going to make my sweep and take the place of my hands. I'm going to make my sweep and come into my hands on the opposite side, and we normally do this closed. But when we do the sweep, this is a heel palm claw that comes in. So when we move, we go and make this heel palm claw come in. But we pass through that position, and we just oppose into the cocked position. Then I'm going to unwind, and you can catch the back knuckle or the elbow. And what we want to do here is sweep to a forward bow. We don't want to go neutral and then pivot into a bow. Okay? We sweep to the bow. It's the same as doing a takedown that everybody uses in freestyle, where we do maybe a hand move to make the guy go for it, and then we just come in with a takedown into the reverse bow. We don't do that and go in neutral and then go to reverse bow, because the position's lost or slow. We're already there. If we just go into the cross and take him down, that's the same type timing we're looking for here. So remember, no neutral and then forward bow. We sweep to a forward bow, or we do it like a stiff leg kick and sweep it around in a long arc. So let me do that one more time from the position. I pick up the hands, make the sweep around, and then into the bow, and the bow lands with the punch. When the foot stops, so does the hand. And here's our track on our low line over your wrist. In the form, we have the collar back here, and the punches in the mastoid at the base of the skull. Okay, when we make the sweep. Okay, now from here we transition to the opposite side. I have to get my hand out of the way. My right hand is going to be in the way of my left. So to get back to the line, so we'll see this, I'll put my heels on the line again. The transition we're looking for is if I was facing camera again, I would have to move this foot back and stagger to be toe to heel, to be facing the man at 3 o'clock, and that's our position we're looking for. So we do that from the bow and the punch. As I step back, then the backhand, see, the right hand has to get out of your way to let the left hand move, and then we pick him up and go into the hammer fist. Okay, so let's do that one more time. From the punch, we move back, get your hand out of the way, make the catch and hammer. We sweep to the opposite side, around and into the bow with the punch. And this made us go back and forth on our 3-9 line. Okay, let's do that one more time, then I'll let you work on it. We got to our getting ready to close. The man moves in, we drop back and hammer, we wind up, and sweep. Get out of your way, backhand catch, moving in, around, and punch. Okay, play with that, and we'll be back with the next move. Okay, now that was destructive fans, and I hope you got that down. Now we go back to the end of the transition of the left side. I'm going to move over to my line to pick up the 12 o'clock line here. So the forward bow position of the last punch is the left punch, and we're looking at basically 3 o'clock. Now the man comes in that we're not ready for from 12. Now we're going to take, without changing your center line, remember I don't turn, I'm just going to draw to a cat and block the kick. Now again, like in 4, when we did 5 swords for a kick punch instead of just a punch, now we're going to do the same thing with the dance of death and make it for a kick punch. Okay, so the draw to the cat, we do block the kick, then I move back away with my left parry, and then all the torque is saved for the ridge hand strike. I'm going to change angle so you can see that a little better and work in this direction. So I'm coming from the punch. The man over here throws the kick, so I drop and block the kick, step away with the parry, and then all the torque is left for the ridge hand chop. Okay. So when we move, we're just winding the hand up, and it's back here, hanging down, and it swings. A common mistake in the technique is cock the hand high, like this, and make this shoot down. And this is like spearhanding the floor or punching the floor. All that would do would be hit and slide. It wouldn't be going into the groin. Actually, we want to be moving up into the groin a little bit. So it's common to see that hand shoot down just like a punch, and that's a false travel line that we want to move in. So got to stay on top of that and let the hand hang down and actually think of it as hitting up, and then you'll have the line of force that we're looking for. So we go block, block, and then, or block, parry, and shoot. Now again, remember, no two transitions are the same. So here we're blocking and parrying with the front hand, or one hand, or the left hand. Block the kick and parry the punch, and the right hand didn't work. When we get into the left side, we'll do the same thing, but different now. So that's just how to get us in the line. So we'll go back to original position, or the form position, to face this line. And here's where we're going to pick up our railroad track, where you see I'm going to work through this line, but I'm going to come back on another line. See? So from the punch, I dropped back and block, move back with the parry, and then brought in the chop. Okay, so then I'm going to go through the line, and you notice I'm going to invert my stance again. And now my front heel, to be right on the line, front heel and toe are inverted again. Now the first time I inverted it, just from this position so you can see it, I was heeled on the line, so I stepped back with my left foot to get my inversion. Now I'm stepping forward with my right foot to get my inversion, to make the technique work, so we don't have the stick or leg come up your center line. I said stick because I'm going to bring Rick out and show this with the red stick of our alignment that we're looking for. Now, come on this side, Rick. A lot of people do the dance of death and what we call eat the foot. And everybody knows what I'm talking about if you just hear that word. When we do the takedown, put the stick out here, Rick, like it's a leg. When everybody does the takedown, this is representing the leg, the stick comes up inside, and you eat it. That's because the front leg didn't invert. So here we're going to put the stick right on the black line, the intersection, and if I stay on the line, I'm going to move my back foot on the other side. If I invert and see the stick moved out and I put my heel here, then from this angle, anywhere this rides up, it clears my center line and you won't eat it. See, that's how the inversion works here. Where if I was this way, it would come up in center line. So I have to invert and make that ride up outside so it will miss. So this is our just reverse inversion of the first one that we did. First one, remember, was back with the left. Now it's basically up with the right. Okay, thank you. So let's pick that up again from the line. So you can see the line. Do the downward block. Step back with the parry. And then our bow with the chop. We go through the inversion. I'm going to move over so you can pick up the line. I'm going to move through. Now, also there's many variations on the dance of death. The big man version, the knee lift version, the pull version. I teach and personally prefer the knee lift version, that it keeps your hands on top when they need to be and not break the rule of letting the opponent get on top and pulling the knee into you possibly. If you miss to bring him in, if you do the knee lift, it clears your line and then it's a safer version to do. But anyway, we just did the takedown. We make the back knuckle, and there's another common mistake, is most people go in square or open and back knuckle and chop between your knees. If you chop between your knees, you don't have a lockup on the person's leg. So that's why we inverted it, was to get our lock on his knee. So if my front leg locks his knee, the groin shot is always outside the knee, not inside the knee. It has to be outside to maintain the lock. See? Then we go catch the heel by sliding up and the normal turnover variation using the shape of the crane. Flip the man over, lots of travel with our stomp, hop, stomp, the drop into the check and chop, our stomp, hop, stomp, crossover, and you'll notice now when I unwind, I'm on the other railroad track to go back with the left-handed technique on this line instead of going forward on that line. I crossed over to get on the parallel line to go back. Okay, so I'm going to do that in the left-handed version to show you the difference. Now remember, in the first side, the right side, we used one hand. We went with the left hand, downward block, inward parry, and then chop. Second side, we're going to use both hands. So I'm going to do this first side going on this line away. It's like the camera would be over here where you can see the second side coming back on the opposite line to see the difference. So I would be here, moving in with my inversion, turn over and over, back with the stomp, hop, stomp, the crossover. Now when I unwind into my cat, I have my left downward block, then I do a step through reverse and bring in my right inward block, and then my bow and chop. See, so the difference now is both hands from the crossover, the downward and the inward, and then the chop, and then the same inversion, back knuckle, chop, flip over with our stomp, hop, stomp, drop, and our stomp, hop, stomp, moving away. Okay, so I'm going to go over that one more time, facing form angle so we can catch that. So my second side of the back will be to you. From the bow and punch, move back, block, parry, chop, invert, back knuckle, chop. This is really a finger whip. We call it chop, but it's a finger whip. To chop, you have to get down on your knee and chop. It's just like finger set. You're using the tips of the fingers to the groin. Catch, flip, over, drop, stomp, hop, stomp, cross, new line, downward, inward, chop, invert, back knuckle, whip, catch, turn over, stomp, hop, stomp, drop, stomp, hop, stomp, and basically we're back to the intersection. Okay, so work on that part and we'll be back with the next move. Okay, now before we move on to the next move, let's go back to the beginning and pick up the whole form again for a review from the first set of moves. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the travel lines in here. Okay, we'll just start basically centered. I would have to move. I'm not going to move around. I'm just going to start from this position. So we start, man comes in, we move off, we hammer, move off into the claw, move around and catch our sweep. Out of your way, work the second side, come in, around, and to the sweep. Move back, block, parry, chop, invert, back knuckle, move. Now we turn the person over, you get your knee up high, stomp, off, stomp, and drop. Up high, stomp, move, kick, around, and moving back into our next set of moves. Now, the person here, when we're doing the dance of death, remember we dance with our feet, not with our hands. We normally teach the dance of death to beginners at just the block, chop, and the takedown. That's not the dance of death. That's getting ready to do the dance of death. We dance with our feet, so our stomp, hop, stomp, stomp, hop, stomp is the dance part. A lot of people, including myself, I know a lot of you out there have done the dance of death, like running the technique line, if you work the technique line, which you should be doing, and trip over the person you're doing the technique on. Well, that comes from not having enough travel in your strike. To relate, it's like punching something from here. See, you can't really hit. You need to be out here to make it a hit. So I do this at seminars a lot. I say, have somebody lay down and say, now how thick is this person? See, from 10 to 14, 15 inches thick. I had a guy that was thicker than that probably at the last seminar I did. Anyway, so you have to pick your foot up 10 or 12 inches to just get over the body without any travel. You understand? See, so we have the rule, we say we want 3 times the body thickness. So if the person is 10 inches thick, we have to pick our foot up 30 inches, and then we still only have 20 inches of travel to the target. See, so get those feet up, and we won't trip over anybody, and we'll have a little authority in our strikes. See, so it's common to see, I like when you do the technique, people do the turnover and just move like this, just go, see, and that won't even really get over the body. That's just making a reference to the technique, but you want to show it a little more correctly than that. Okay, so now anyway, we'll get into the next set of moves. Coming out of the dance of death, now we will be moving the left side. I'll be moving into this corner, but my back will be to the camera, so I'll do this in application where it's right, coming off the left stomp, and I'll be moving into the corner, and I freeze my hands, and I'm just going to unwind without moving my hands, and my feet basically pass through normal position, and I have my pickup hand position of right, left into the leap of death now like we had in 4, but now we're going to make it because the man is in the right position. And that line was on these lines in 5, where we didn't make it. We went to destructive kneel, remember. Now we're crossing the line where we're going to make it and complete it and do the leap of death on the 3-9 line. So in proper angle, from where the camera would be looking, I would be in the cross position. I would unwind, pick it up, and drop back into my break, back knuckle, grab, and throw down. And we don't want to throw the person long here. I see a lot of people throw long and have to go run and jump and leap and chase the person to get to him. The principle here is not to have the kidney past your front foot. So this line right here is where my front foot is. When I take this person down, All I want my foot to do is to cock up high and come back down and basically in the same spot. If I have to gain any ground, I'm not really doing the technique correctly. So when we make the takedown, we just shove him right down for your front foot, and then the jump is basically in place. We jump up and come down. So from the angle, I'll do it again complete, and then I'll change angle so you can see it. We're coming off the correct angle back here. I'll unwind, pick him up, reverse for the break, back knuckle, grab and throw. Then I go into my frog position. The heels are out, the toes are out, and I go into the heel palm position, catch under the chin, turn the knees in for my brace. We call this an hourglass stance. Pull up on the chin, turn the hands to the head, and rip and turn the head sideways. There's no shift here. If you shift here, you lose him and push him back down. We want to keep him up. So when we spin, we hold the hair, and then we chop our target, bridge of the nose, whatever you want to hit. Then the shift comes now when I drive the head back down to the floor with the knee in the heel palm. And that parallels this line. My fingers point down this line, my knee points down this line. And then I change to the opposite side and kick down the line, going the other direction with my downward diagonal roundhouse kick. In the bottom of the flex on my knee, the same way I just did this heel palm, I transition, and in the bottom of the flex, whack is where the kick would hit. But you don't hit the ground. You just flex into it. You just go whack. And just whack. Now I'm going to change angles where we can see this, and I'll use this line to get me to the proper position. So when I made my cross, I'm going to be here. I'm going to unwind, catch, and reverse, neutral, throw down, just come up, go into my tuck the knees, pull, spin, chop, drop, and flex kick to the temple. That's what turns the head. Make sure it stays in the proper position. I'm just getting through the form right now. I don't want to really go through the techniques and show them on a body. When we get into the techniques series, when we get to that, then this will all come out. But this is more or less a reference for the form. Okay, now that got us through the right side, or the strong side of leap of death. And from the kick is where we transition into the second side. So I want to do once again through the first series and then put us into the second side. I'll use the right angle back here because that'll make my second angle where you can see in the right position with the camera where it is. So I'm going to transition from the corner. I'm going to unwind, pick him up, reverse, neutral, forward, get my leap, down to the tuck, spin, chop, drop, and kick. From there I cross over. That's where I catch with the front hand or back hand, step out with the break, back knuckle, throw down, and the leap in, rip, change the hands on the spin, chop, drop, and the left kick into my crossover of 3 on line of 1, 2, 3, and this puts me facing back down the line where I came from, but this is not the man that's going to move. Our man's going to come from here. See? So let's do that one more time in proper angle. I'm going to come from the corner, moving, unwind, pick him up, reverse, neutral, throw down, tuck, pull up, spin, chop, drop, kick, pick him up, reverse, neutral, forward, down, tuck, spin, chop, drop, kick, 1 on line, 2 on line, 3 on line, and that completes that series of moves. We'll play with that. Back in a minute. Okay, I hope you got the leap of death down. Now I'm going to go back to the transition from this last kick or the left side of leap of death and pick up the angle into the next technique, the backbreaker. This will be on the correct angle as facing the camera. So the left side, I'll be doing my left downward diagonal roundhouse kick on the line. Then I go on line 1, 2, 3, and when I spin, I'm covering 3 o'clock. Like here, I'm ready for you, but the man at 3 doesn't come in. Remember, the man at 4:30 comes in. So a lot of people, when they do the form, they'll head right to 430. Let me show you what I'm talking about. From going 3 on line, going 1, 2, and then right off into 430. If that happens, you're saying, I knew that was the guy coming, and I'm not caught by surprise. So we want to show the cover 3, but 430 is the man that comes in. So let me do that one more time. From the kick, I go on line, and 3, and then I say, whoops, here comes 430. See? So I want to make sure I definitely show that I'm looking at 3, but the man at 430 comes in, and I go into the backbreaker, knee, down, hit, rip, back knuckle, and claw with the hands between the knees. Now, that was coming down the line, but then I took my angles off, so you're going to have to notice that this was coming up to the corner line, not matching one of the parallel lines. But I'm going to move back to the line and get my 3 on line going back that direction that I came this direction. So point that out again, you'll notice when I did my kick off the left side of the leap of death, I went on line 1, on line 2, on line 3, moving this way, and then went off on my angle. So when I did the last technique, I was in my kneel here, and I'm just going to reverse that and go on line 1, on line 2, and on line 3, going back where I came from. And now I'm facing, we'll call this 9 or 3, depending on how you look at it. It's 9 really, and the man from 730 comes in, and I have the same surprise position here as I had from here to have to go this way. Catch on? So that's our 3 on line going back. So again, I go 1, 2, 3 on line, and then 730 comes in. Move around, knee, slam, hit, spin, chop, rip, double back knuckle, and our double claw into the wide kneel position. And that breaks this part of the form off where we use the hands for our accent to accent the power principle here as marriage with gravity. There's 3 basic accents in here. That's another thing that the form is called. It's called the hand accent form. And it's broken basically into thirds where we use the hands, the different ways we can use it to add backup mass, marriage with gravity, or counterbalance. Counterbalance is when we throw our hands in the opposite direction of our hand to our foot, and that brings in the next section. And I'll explain this in a second. Rick, would you bring me that pole, please? Thank you. I relate this to a tightrope walker. Like you see this line as walking a tightrope. And the tightrope walker has his long pole. And if he starts to fall to the left, he dips the end of the stick to the right, and that brings him back into balance. So he's using this. He starts to fall this way, dip this into the pole, and to bring you back in. So if we throw our hands that way, here you go, Rick, thank you. And the counterbalance, like later on we get into the technique hopping crane, you're using a lot of momentum going on. And I'll work this sideways so you can see that if I came in, I just, without using my hands, did a hard sweep to this corner, the momentum would want to carry me out that direction. That's the power that we're using. So if I threw my hands against that when I come in, then this motion counterbalances me and keeps me in position. If I didn't do that, this move would carry me on out. So that's an example of how to counterbalance. Then the marriage with gravity, we use it just like when we talked about picking our foot up to hit. We do the same thing here with your hands. Is you make it accent. And we go back through the first part of the techniques up to this point. I'll show you how that happened. But when we made our hands come in, we made them go up and they go, and you work them with your move. See, so you're adding, accenting that power going with the strike. And that's it. All went with the strike up to this point. In the next technique, a hopping crane, it changed to counterbalance. So when we get back after you work on this, we'll point that out and we'll take the form from the beginning. So work on that. We'll be right back. Okay, now before we go on, let's go back and pick up the form from the beginning, and we're going to do it nice and slow And I want you to think about accenting the strikes with your hands and using that marriage with gravity feel and that backup mass feel of your hands going with your strikes, not against your strike. Remember, with is the key here, whether it be down or, you know, diagonal. Make the hands accent the strike. Okay, so we'll take it from the beginning. We'll just basically center. I'll move back a little. We're in center line. We move off, and so you settle with the shot. You come in, settle with the shot, and settle with the shot. You move back, catch, settle, settle, come around, and settle. Drop back, and settle with the shot. Move in, settle with the shot. Turn him over, accent, settle with the shot. Come down, settle, settle, settle with the shot. Come back, block, come in, take down, hit, torque, settle with the shot, settle with the shot, and make the kick, settle, unwind, bam, settle, settle, torque, hit, settle, settle, 1, 2, move, throw down, torque, settle, settle, 1, 2, 3, come off, move back, settle, hit, rip, chop, rip, settle, on the line, around, back into the corner, slam, hit, rip, chop, bang, and settle with the shot. And that was where we took it to up to that point. So play with that again. We'll be back in a second. Okay, I hope you've got that down up to that point. I want to bring out one little thing here. If you watch the tape close there, you'll notice that in the second side of the backbreaker, I had a little switch in the footwork in the ending of the second side. You can't see it on the tape, but this wall is just, it's a slope. And I was getting back close and climbing up the wall, and to keep from climbing the wall, I put a little switch in the stance. So I'm going to go through this second part one more time in the last backbreaker to show you the footwork without the switch. So I'm going to go back down that line, the kneel. The first side ending of backbreaker is here. We go on line 1, 2, 3, and then the 730 line comes in. We come off and move around. Knee, down, hit, spin, chop, rip, double back knuckle, and then follow back into the kneel. And this is where we wind up. Now, I'm going to come to the line. I would be on my angle line, and I'm going to go back up my 612 line, again with my 3 on line. So when I come into the technique, I'm going to plant, go move onto the line, and our hands go now the opposite side. That's 1 on line, 2 on line, and then my hop on line. Then I'm going to get off the line with my sweep. And my sweep now, my hands oppose, and I use them as counterbalance. The foot is sweeping to 1030. The hands are being thrown to 430 to keep me in balance. This goes to that tightrope walker pole principle. I'm going to move back and get on the other line to show you how the railroad tracks come into play here. So what I just did, I'm going to now do on this line. So I was in my kneel. I go 1 on line, 2 on line, 3 on line, then I step off halfway between these lines, and that's where I throw my sweep and my kick. Then I step over onto the new line. That's 1 on line, 2 on line, 3 on line, stepping between again, throwing my sweep kick and planting, and then when I unwind to my cat, we're back on our original line. Okay? Let me do that again one more time. I'll back up a little farther where you can see that a little better. Get back here where I'm going to climb the wall. So there's my kneel. This you see is 1 on line, 2 on line, 3 on line, step between the lines with my sweep kick onto the new line, 1 on line, 2 on line, 3 on line, step between with my sweep kick, plant. When I unwind, I come back to my original line. Okay, now this technique is called hopping crane, and it's not really a technique. It's points out a principle for category completion, that up to this point we've been sweeping a person's feet out from under him in all the different ways that we've done it so far. So now we have a person like down and he's trying to get up. And to relate this is, if I had somebody who could do it and walk on his hands, he would be inverted, and now his hands are supporting him. So I would have to sweep his hands out to take his base out. I do this lots of times to show the principle, to have somebody lay down on their belly, put their hands behind their back, and tell them to get up. See? Well, they can do it, but they have to roll over and then set up, and then they can get up. So normally to get up, you put your hands down and push yourself up. So to show just what the principle is here, let me bring Rick out and get on this line, head facing that direction, on your belly, where he would be basically just like he was knocked down. So he's starting to get up. So what he's doing is supporting himself with his hands. Okay? So his arms are what's supporting him. So to get back down a little lower, Rick, like you're starting to get up. See? And right here's where I would catch him. I say, okay, no, you don't. And I sweep out the arm. That makes him fall back down. See? And then the kick comes back into the kidney as we would cross to the line. To show it again on opposing force, like if we were just standing up in a fight, he's facing that way. See, and I would, just like you're fighting somebody over there, and I come around and do the sweep this way against the hands, see, behind the leg. That's the same motion, but used for a different purpose. See? But anyway, the principle is basically the person's getting up, and we're sweeping out the leg, the hand, which is now his support base to help him get up. So it's just like, again, it's a category completion move. So again, when we move, we go on line 1, 2, 3, get off, sweep against, kick, and it's it to the new line. 2, 3, go sweep against, kick on the line, and unwind to your cat, going back down the original direction. So work on that, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, I hope you got that down. Now, the series of techniques we just did, we talked about the hand accents of working the marriage with gravity, accenting your strikes, and through the series up through hopping crane. And then we went into the counterbalance position. And when we finish that, it gets us into facing front again to change the takedown from, up to this point we worked outside the arm with our body position. Now we're going to move it to the inside and take the high, middle, and low takedowns from inside the arm instead of outside. So we'll pick that up on the next tape. So work on that, and we'll see you on the next tape.